Hi, everybody. Welcome back. We're here at the Mamo offices again with Tola, our senior product lead at Mamo.
Great to be here.
So, Tola, tell us a little bit about your role at Mamo. What is it that you do?
I cover the product requirements or the product responsibilities in particular relating to the card and expense management products. So that relates to everything to do with how we go about issuing our cards, how we enable our users to handle the expenses of their company, and kind of building a holistic journey across those two different sides of the product.
So, let's talk a little bit about the product process end to end. Can you explain to us what is the very first step of building a product?
The very first step is identifying what is the problem we're trying to solve. And the only way we can really do that is by understanding who our users are and what problems they're facing. And a massively important part of that is really ensuring we have those opportunities to retrieve feedback, whether that is working closely with the sales team, whether that is going through complaints that have been raised, whether that is just looking at general market trends, it's collating all of that information and allowing us to define exactly what is the problem we want to proceed in solving.
Perfect. So, a lot of people would be curious to know how often do we get feature requests at Mamo and what's our process in dealing with those? How do you guys on the team prioritize?
Feature requests come through on a very regular basis. So there's multiple channels. It could be directly from a customer. It could be that a customer's provided some feedback, which has been interpreted by, let's say, somebody on the sales team as, okay, we could solve this by doing X. And all of this information is massively useful to us. We collate it and then go through the process of one, organizing that information. So recognizing where are there common links or what is something that is continuously coming up in that feedback, which is something that helps us in prioritization. And then also taking a step back because sometimes a solution could be suggested to a problem, but it's our responsibility to actually understand what is the core problem that's trying to be solved, and is that the best solution to actually proceed with solving that solving that problem.
So that's super interesting because even in the early days when we started, I personally used to make this jumping to conclusions mistake, which is that I used to try and sort of dictate what the solution should look like.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about why, when customers come up with a solution, it may not be the best solution, and how do you guys work your way back to the original problem?
It's something that we all do as humans. Sometimes we assess based on the information that we have, and then make an assumption based on like something that might to us look like all of the information that's needed, but in reality there are other pieces of information that we're not privy to. And I think especially from a customer perspective, and especially in a scenario where the problem is maybe something that's causing a quite significant stress or quite significant issues in their business operations, you want a solution quickly, and you think, what is the quickest way that this should be able to be fixed? But from our perspective, like particularly as a product team, it's our responsibility to really recognize, okay, what is the core issue here that we want or that this user wants to be solved, and what is the impact of any given solution that we produce to solve that problem. Because it's not only looking at how does it solve this immediate issue, it's also looking at how does this impact the long-term feasibility of the products that we build, of the features that we build. How do we iterate upon this? How can we potentially use it to solve other issues? So really taking that step back initially enables us to look at the immediate issue, but also the broader picture and the long-term view.
Awesome. So you said we and team a lot. Can you tell us a little bit about what the team that's building product at Mamo, what it looks like, how big is it, how do your processes work internally?
Yeah, so we have a really great product team here at Mamo. So we have our CPO Asman and myself, who are directly within the product space, so operating in the product management sense. And then we of course have the design team, which sits within the same kind of remit. We have two designers who we work super closely with, like on pretty much everything from the process of discovery all the way to the actual delivery of any feature or product that we build. The product process always starts with us trying to identify what the problem is that our customers are facing. And we have a variety of ways in which we do that, a range of feedback loops. For example, sitting down with the sales team, understanding how conversations are going with prospective clients, looking into any form of complaint that might have been raised by a customer, any issues that they've been facing, general research into market trends and understanding from a more holistic perspective, like what is the general consensus across the market around particular issues that could potentially be solved. And kind of working on that initially allows us to start building out exactly what problems we perceive as a potential opportunity for us to solve, and where, as I previously mentioned, we can build something that is delightful for our customers, technically viable, and actually provides some form of benefit to Mamo as a business, of course.
When you're speaking to customers or kind of understanding what their needs are, what does that process look like? And what can our customers expect when interacting with Mamo's product team?
What tends to happen is customers will often share their current processes, share potential problems that they're facing, and it's down to us to kind of guide that conversation that enables us to help both ourselves as well as sometimes in many cases the customer really understand what is the core problem that is being faced. I think it's down to us to really recognize, okay, maybe this isn't the actual problem. Where in the journey are customers dropping off? Maybe it's at the point at which the business is asking the customer to provide their information, so customer name, customer email, and so on and so forth, and recognizing or understanding, do they need to actually request that information? Because sometimes the product is already in a place to kind of solve some of the problems that our customers face, but when we really identify a problem that isn't catered for, then that's when we start to look at how can we build or iterate on our existing product features to cater for those requirements.
Can you give us an example of a time where you received a feature request and how long it took you on average to kind of address that and launch that request?
So I really pride our team in the way in which we respond to these requests. And a perfect example is a request that came through that we were able to deliver within a period of 8 hours.
8 hours?
Yeah, 8 hours. So we were delivering a multi-currency feature. We started off with US dollar. This had been requested by a variety of our users, but then one of our users who had been utilizing Mamo for quite a long period of time requested euros and had quite a significant invoice that they wanted to place at that particular point in time. And of course, like, we wanted to ensure that they were able to do so with our platform. So we made sure that we delivered the euro capability within the same day, had it tested, delivered, and enabled our the user to actually initiate that invoice journey within the same period of time.
Amazing. So what actually goes on behind the scenes to enable you guys to move that fast? Like, most companies would typically have approvals flows, processes, hierarchies. How is it that you guys were able to move so quickly? And I assume a lot of different roles were required to launch such a feature, right? So how does it happen?
Firstly, I would say the product team or the structure across the company, but speaking of the product team in particular, is very flat. So we operate in a way where we have our given responsibilities in terms of the areas of the product that we are kind of responsible for. So that enables us to really make decisions. One, it also shows the company trusts us, and two, it gives us the flexibility to make a decision based on our assessment of the value of a given decision. So this scenario, we understood that this is a customer that is loyal to us. This is a customer that we want to ensure continues to have a great experience on the platform. It was something that we had the ability to deliver. So instead of going through the process of speaking to every potential stakeholder across the company, we have that freedom to make the decision there and then. And we always leave some space within our capacity in the squad to ensure we can be reactive in these kinds of situations. We have our plan for what we want to achieve over a given week or over a given sprint period, but we also enable ourselves to really operate in a way that covers for all potential scenarios, and this was a perfect example of that.
We often get asked, not just by customers, but by other stakeholders as well, what does our product roadmap look like? The way you're describing it, it sounds like a roadmap is a very dynamic and flexible thing because we operate heavily based on customer feedback.
Indeed.
So I won't ask you what our roadmap looks like, but I'll ask you what's the grand vision? Like, what do you, as a product team, want to get to as far as the experience or the benefits that you want to provide to Mamo's customers?
I think across the entire team, we really genuinely care and prioritize the experience that a user goes through for each and every part of the platform, whether it is creating a payment link, whether it is using one of our cards, whether it is managing their expenses. And Mamo in itself is a platform that enables businesses to essentially handle their financial standing in very many different ways. And we want to ensure that the product does that in a way that makes it so seamless that our users have no real other option but to utilize us. Like, we want to ensure that we are so integrated into their day-to-day experience and that the platform is something that they enjoy using. And that's really something that sits at the forefront of many of the decisions that we make when it comes to how we introduce new features onto the platform, how we build out the navigation, how we just operate in general across all of the decisions we make for the product.
That's great. So let me ask you a little bit about competing products out there in the market. How would you classify Mamo's competitors? What alternatives do viewers have other than Mamo? And how would you say we at Mamo compare to them?
I would say Mamo is highly unique. And if we take a step back again, initially Mamo started off as a payments platform, which is something that we are all aware that there are very many players in that space. But what we do, or what we have done, that I believe makes us unique is that the path that we've set upon and the ways in which we've evolved over time have been very, very heavily driven based on our ability to really listen to our customers and really understand how is it that we can continue to iterate upon what we currently do to make our customers' lives better in as streamlined and efficient a way as possible. And I think if you look at the range of products that we currently offer, there are very few competitors, if any, in the region that currently offer that same range of, that same suite of products, covering the payment side of things, corporate cards, payouts. Like, we're operating or focusing on that in and out flow of funds and really embedding ourselves in the ability for those users to manage their money in a streamlined and efficient a way as possible. So I would say that really allows us to stand out and operate in a unique manner in comparison to our competitors.
So Tola, can you tell us why product discovery is so important?
It's our responsibility to make sure what we deliver is valuable to our end user, and product discovery is the process that allows us to build that certainty around why we're building what we're building and how we expect it to impact our customer. And that means that we need to be able to quickly test our assumptions. We need to recognize as soon as possible whether or not this is something that's worth taking forward. And we need to be able to come to a relatively high level of certainty that if we do proceed with this feature, then it's going to have a positive impact on our customers' experience. And that whole process is captured within that product discovery journey.
Amazing. So we've actually seen Mamo launch a lot of different features and capabilities relatively quickly compared to the market over the last few months. So does experimentation play a big role, and how do you actually run experiments if you do?
Yeah, massive amount of impact. Experimentation is a broad term, but it can be applied in very many different ways in which or applied to very many different ways in which we go about testing our ideas. And one example is that very many features that are initially seen on the platform are completely manual in the background. There will be myself potentially just typing away on Slack, responding to messages, but the reality is we're using that as a way to actually gauge the utilization of the feature before we go through the process of actually building. And other examples can be A/B testing, looking at how we, or what are the different ways in which customers are interacting with different forms of implementation of a given feature. So there's a variety of manners that we use to quickly validate whether or not what we're doing makes sense and is valuable. And then once we get that input and come to that conclusion, we can proceed with building out the product in its full, the feature in its full form.
So it's currently July 2024.
Yes.
Q3 has just started. What are you most looking forward to this quarter?
Each and every day is a new challenge, and I'm really enjoying taking those challenges with the entire team. But in terms of looking at things from a broader perspective, one area in which we're really focused is the introduction of credit cards. So being able to provide our clients with a credit line and utilize it through our card infrastructure. Geo expansion is something that we're really investigating heavily at the moment. So we already have a strong idea around what our plans look like, but we really want to get into the details around what are the problems that are being faced in the regions that we're looking to enter. And of course, a common thread across each and every quarter, which is really at the forefront of everything that we do, looking at how we can find innovative ways to continue to reduce our fees as close to zero as possible. I think in previous cases, our Ultra plan is a perfect example of how we've looked at ways in which we can reduce fees in a manner that is still, of course, viable for us, but really benefits the customer in the best way possible. And that's something that we continuously have at the forefront of each and every quarter.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Tola. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank
Appreciate
you for
your
having
time.
me.